Welcome inside the IKS Media Studios. I'm your host, Clark Munroe. It is SJHL Weekly time. A very fun weekend going on in the SJHL this past weekend. So we have a lot to get to. We have a lot to talk about this upcoming week and so much more. There's some breaking news, unfortunately, we don't love to talk about, but we have to. So we'll get to that in just a moment here. We'll talk about players of the week. We'll discuss some of the best perform. That's my comment. Thanks, guys.
How you doing?
Hey. I'm multitasking. I'm just that good. Best performers across the SJHL. We're going to talk about that later in the show as well. And a fun guest today. We thought, you know what, we've gone around the league quite a lot in the last few weeks. We've touched on most of the teams in terms of bringing on guests on the show. Why don't we bring on a big name alumni? And that's going to be Josh Kotai, obviously former Battlefords North Star goaltender who is doing huge things in the NCAA right now with Augustana. So very excited to talk to Josh again. Big things going on with him in the NCAA, so excited to get to that. But before we get too deep into the show, let's thank our sponsors, of course, Borgo, Capital Automall, Cantera Seeds, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Nutrien, did I say Sask Lotteries twice? Nutrien Tourism, Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, SGEU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. And as we continue on with the show, we come back into the studio with my man, Rory McGouran, my other man, Jamie Neugebauer, a.k.a. Jacques Newberry. He is back. For those super fans who remember our Jacques Newberry appearance from a few weeks ago, he's back. The flamboyant French hockey owner that Jamie looks like when he wears a toque jacket on the show. No, Jamie Neugebauer is here. Gentlemen, my weekend was pretty crazy. We can get to that in a second, but how was your weekend, Nugsy? We'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, electric game in Kenora. I really enjoyed it, not just because the Hounds scored 4 and maybe played their best period of hockey in the whole season in the third period in Kenora against Yorkton, but they packed the barn, 600 people in a tiny barn in there, Kenora. I loved it. Got back to Emerald Park where I parked my car, and of course it was frozen solid. So I had to sit at the subway in Emerald Park for about 3 hours yesterday, waiting for the tow truck. But anyways, everything's fine, and here I am. So yeah, it was a great week, and I'm very tired, but it was a great week.
I saw the movie Euro Trip over the weekend. I don't know if you guys remember that, but the scene where we don't have to get into too many details about the scene because this is a family show, but
it's not a family movie.
He jumps into a hot tub and he says, "This isn't where I parked my car." That was that's when you said this where I parked my car. That's all I could think of.
So car troubles. I had
a little this morning and currently as of actually.
And the guy who usually has the car troubles,
he's good to go.
I'm here. I'm car started.
But can I one extra anecdote is I went to pick up my daughter Abigail from her preschool this morning, and they had a sign on the wall that said, all the national days of whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sure.
Every day is a national day of something. Yeah. So January 20th, today is the national day of taking a walk outdoors. I'm like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
No thanks.
Like on January the 20th is the Canadian National Day for taking a walk outdoors?
It's not happening.
Very strange.
It's also my brother's birthday. Shout out to my brother, SJHL alumni, Notre Dame Hounds alumni, Scott Munroe. It's his, 40?
He is your brother.
43rd. Rory, how was your weekend?
Really good. Divisional games against the Battlefords North Stars. Quick shout out to goaltender Dazza Mitchell. I gave a plug to the pizza. I was not expecting him and his family to graciously bring some gluten-free pizzas for my partner Megan to Notre Dame when the Broncos played the Hounds. We tried out 2 of them, and the Primal Pizza from Campfire Grill, she said, was the best gluten-free pizza she's ever had. So
they brought gluten-free pizza to Notre Dame, and they gave them to Rory.
That's true. They did. Yeah, you got to give him some. You got to give him some plugs.
Noted, Dazza.
Now, I just want to remind you, Nugsy, Dazza Mitchell hates you. We've been through this.
That's true.
He doesn't like you.
I hammer the kid every chance I can. So great
point. You're kidding. He probably feels so bad.
One more shout out because we really appreciated it and really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
that's great.
There you go. We're good. We're loving it. My weekend was I was in the mosh pit at a Sum 41 concert. Having a blast. That was all my entire Saturday. So I'm going to let you guys handle the hockey analysis this one because...
Did they lift you up? Did you get up on the crowd surfing?
I did crowd surf. I lifted approximately 20 people up to crowd surf.
It seems more like your role.
Because I was the big guy in the back of the mosh circle. I didn't jump in too much because I was like, I am bigger than almost everyone here. I don't want to hurt anyone. So I was just kind of shoving people in. And then everyone's like, hey, lift me up. Funny story. So last song comes out. It's In Too Deep. Sum 41, In Too Deep, one of their best songs. And they closed with the show. So obviously it was one of their best songs. I'm standing beside another guy who's taller and bigger than me. And because we're towering over everyone else, everyone's coming to us to lift them up into the air and push them into the crowd and do crowd surfing. This guy, after like 8 people, we're like just shoving people up and throwing them. He's like, hey, get me up. I'm like, dude.
Not happening.
Me? You're bigger than me. Like, what? So I recruited 4 people from around me. We got this guy up and shoved him off, and I was like, get out of here. Anyways, it was a fun weekend.
I got on stage on an Airborne concert one time.
Yeah, you were telling me about
crowd
this.
surf on stage.
Airborne.
On stage for Airborne. Lead singer told me to jump back off. I did jump back onto the crowd, and then I felt this big bear paw of a fist on the back of my neck. The band loved it. The security did not, and they kicked me out. So
where was that? What city was that in?
Winnipeg. It was at the Burton Cummings Theater.
It's probably like a former Blue Bombers offensive lineman or something like that.
Did not like it.
Anyways, we're super excited to get into the show today. Unfortunately, we do have to start with some not so great news. But before we get to that, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, please hit all of the like, shares, retweet buttons, all those things. We want to get this show spread out, so make sure you're doing that. And comment in throughout the show, because as you could see in the opener when I was reading my monologue, we'll put your comments up, or my comment apparently. So we'll put your comments up. We want to hear from you throughout the show. There's Dave Jeanette, says, came into Melville to watch my son for the weekend. Nick Jeanette, great weekend, by the way. We'll get to that later. Our flight out of Regina was delayed 4 hours and 35 minutes because the plane wouldn't start. Yeah, that's kind of my car right now. It just doesn't want to. It just doesn't want to. It's feeling it. So let's have a look at the scores from the weekend. We'll start with Friday. As you can see, La Ronge took it to Estevan 4-1 in Estevan. Weyburn traveled to Melville, and Melville maybe snuck out an upset in this one, if you count it as an upset. I think you do. Melville had a great game there. Melfort with a 7-3 win in the heavyweight battle against Yorkton. Humboldt, a great weekend against Battlefords, this one, but a 5-3 win against Battlefords on Friday. And then Flin Flon handled Kindersley 5-1 at home on Friday night. And then on Saturday, a lot of these teams kind of played against each other again, but Weyburn saw La Ronge with an 8-2 win, and then Melville, again, continuing their good weekend, 5-1 win over Estevan. Might have been a dagger in the back of something, and again, we'll talk about the not so great news in a sec here. Battlefords with a shootout win over Humboldt and Colton Getzlaff, huge game there, we'll talk about him. Flin Flon 3-2 over Kindersley to sweep the weekend series, and then Notre Dame, again, Nugsy said it, an electric 4-3 win over Yorkton in Kenora, basically in Yorkton's backyard. And Notre Dame comes and makes a statement to the rest of the SJHL.
In front of Marty McSorley.
Marty McSorley?
Marty McSorley was in the game in Kenora. I don't know what his connection is to Kenora. But
wow.
That's
Did
pretty cool,
anybody get suspended with Marty
Great
McSorley
question.
in the crowd?
I don't think anybody got suspended.
That's good. We don't want that. No. All right, let's get to the headlines here. And again, we're going to start with, hey, Ryan Duguay. Shout out to Ryan Duguay.
What's up, buddy?
Northern Michigan legend. There you go.
Yeah. He's probably glad that he's not playing Josh Kotai, and we'll get to that another time. Different eras. But the first news at the headlines, of course, we're going to start with it, is a change of energy. Now, if you were paying attention to Twitter at all over the weekend, the Estevan Bruins have relieved head coach and general manager Jason Tatarnic of his duties, and Drew Kosher is taking over on an interim basis for the rest of the season. Obviously, their assistant coach, longtime junior B coach, of course, Drew Kosher, and he's been around the Estevan system now for a little while. So, guys, I'm going to throw it to you on this one. Obviously, Estevan over the last couple of years, since their championship, which we have to remember was not that long ago, it was only a couple seasons ago, but they have not maybe performed to the level that they put, a standard that they put for themselves. And Nugsy, I'll start with you on this one. Jason Tatarnic, what can you tell me about this move? The timing of it was maybe weird for some people. What do you think about it overall?
Yeah, it sucks. Anytime anybody gets fired, I think it sucks. Great guy, great human being. Record. Coached the Bruins 238 games, believe it or not, since 2020.
Through COVID.
Before COVID, so 129 wins, a championship, 54.2% save percentage, or win percentage rather.
Save percentage,
over that time. Only 8 shootout losses over that whole time.
Oh.
I guess Bruins are pretty good at shootouts.
Good winning percentage, terrible save percentage.
Right.
But
Good win percentage. And just one quick story that I'll get in. Lots of stories over the years. I was talking a little bit to Nolan Cole, former Estevan Bruins broadcaster, about all the memories that we have with Tarts over those last number of years. And I just remember, I think it was maybe Game 2 of the finals there in 2022 when the Bruins were hosting, just a blizzard outside, and he said, go back to your hotel rooms to all of us in the crew, and I'll come by with a huge truck and we'll go have something to eat and a drink or whatever. And he came and picked us all up, and there was no sweat off his back. And yeah, just his level of kindness to me over the years, I'll never forget him. And the SJHL was better with him in it as a personality, as a coach, and did a lot for a lot of great young men. And so again, I've got nothing but good things to say about Darts.
Yeah, 100%. And at the end of the day, he brought a national championship, right? Or sorry, an SJHL championship to the city of Estevan in that year, right? So that was a great team. And then, years move on and players change. And now the Estevan Bruins just, maybe needed a different voice in the room. Right, and that's kind of what led to them making a change. Drew Kosher's going to come in on an interim base, and I wish him all the best. But again, nothing but good experiences myself with Jason Tatarnic. It sucks to see someone, lose their job and someone else replace them. We know he's a good hockey mind. We know that he's going to land on his feet. And I got nothing but good things to say about him.
Yeah.
But on the Bruins side of it, they're 12-18, 3-1, right? They're outside of the playoffs. Maybe that board thinks right now a quick change. We can maybe get a spark, make a push here in the final 20 games. They're 9 points out of the playoff spot, so it's not out of the reach yet, but they thought the time was now to go with a change, and let's see if the players respond to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, all the power to Drew Kosher. Super pumped for him to get an opportunity. I don't know this guy. I've known this guy for multiple years now, and he's a young up-and-coming guy. And so I hope he gets a chance to kind of put his stamp on this and see where it goes. And again, good luck to Drew. But, back to Jason just really quick, and I'll let you guys wrap it up if you want after this. But anytime I would ever talk to the guy, he always had the time of day for me. He'd always invite me into his office if we were at the rink. He would always, tell us to come down after or go out with him after, like you kind of mentioned, Nugsy, go out for a drink or chat or something after the games. And always respectful, sometimes come off as a little bit gruff, but most coaches do, let's be honest. And that was kind of the charm. If you got to know Jason well enough that he could kind of throw some stuff at you, maybe that most people probably would take as not a joke, but it's a joke coming from him. You knew you were in with him, I think, and that's one of the things about Jason that I think a lot of people will remember. Just his sense of humor was very unique, but also very good.
Well, it was great, and I'm sure he'll love this story because he's actually, I don't think, ever heard this story. After an Estevan Bruins game, we're at Tower Pizza, right? Everyone's
as
eating.
One does.
This was the prior season, so it would have been Scott was there, Carter was there, Drew was there, Jason was there, and myself was there. And it's after a game, so the restaurant is pretty full with people. It's loud, and the other three are kind of talking amongst themselves, Scott, Carter, and Drew. And then all of a sudden, I look over and I'm in a conversation with Jason. Right? I must have missed the first bit of it because he's a bit of a quieter talker, and especially in a loud establishment,
right.
I couldn't hear him at first. But I felt, and this reminds me of one of my favorite shows, Curb Your Enthusiasm or Seinfeld, that I was too deep in the conversation to acknowledge that I couldn't hear exactly what he was saying. So I was just nodding and I just went along with it. And then the conversation went on for another 6 minutes and I was lost. I had no idea what we were talking about, but I know he's just a guy that would kind of, chuckle at that too. And I wish him all the best. But something that I always kind of think back on when I think about Jason.
For me, again, is that his legacy is cemented. Won a BCHL championship, Maritime championship, SJHL championship. He recruits great players wherever he goes, first and foremost. And then he goes on and wins. And you say, he had a loaded team in 21-22, and he did. But it's not a foregone conclusion. There was a very good league, just in general, in 21-22. There were a lot of good teams. The Broncos were right up there, among others. And there was a great league, and nothing that said that they could have beat, like Flin Flon could have won that league too that year too. So he found a way to win and coach up that team, and again, it gave me lots of good opportunities. And again, a great guy, loves his family. Nothing is more important to him than his family, and I really respect people who think that way because that's the way it 100%. Should be. And so nothing but the best for Jason, as you said quite rightly. He'll land on his feet somewhere. And the SJHL won't be the same without him, so we'll miss him.
And a championship coming out of COVID, too. I mean,
not easy.
Nobody can really say that except for Jason Tatarnic. So there you go. Tarts, we wish you all the best. And Drew, same to you. Wish you all the best, and we'll see what happens going forward with the Estevan Bruins. A couple tough losses for them this weekend, and we'll see if they can get back on track. I think they have Parents' Weekend this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I think Kindersley's coming to town, so we'll talk about that later on in the show. Anything else before we move on, guys?
Good. Just best of luck for Drew now moving forward, and we'll see if that Estevan Bruins can get a spark out of it, because that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
You're not out of the playoffs yet, and we'll see how those players respond. Very excited to see that.
And he just worked super hard to remake this roster in a lot of ways. They brought in a bunch of guys at the trade deadline. They kept Kieran Ronan. They brought in Steven Steranka. They brought in Caleb Potter. They brought in Ethan Andrews, et cetera, et cetera. So there's actually plenty for Drew Kosher to work with as well. So it's not like, a coach gets, fired and then he's got like nothing to work with. Drew's actually walking into a pretty good roster, in my opinion. And they showed signs of life, especially after the trade deadline.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens there. And we know all the Bruins faithful will get behind the new coach and go with it. Let's bring up the headlines again. The last Getzlaff. And we're talking about Colton Getzlaff. Holy cow, did he have a night. We're talking about obviously the big win in the shootout against the Humboldt Broncos. Colton Getzlaff with a big night on this one. Colton Getzlaff's the ghost.
Look who's in there.
What is going on? We got Ryan Duguay,
Ring the bell, ring the bell. We got Kian Bell in the comment section.
Apparently, all you got to do is get Josh Kotai as a guest.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. I already did it. That's one. Chalk up one. Bryce got into my head earlier before the show, Director Bryce. But Josh Kotai, and apparently all the alumni's come in. But anyways, Colton Getzlaff, Roy, you saw it firsthand, so I'm going to start with you. It was a big weekend for Humboldt. Obviously, you got the win on Friday, but then Battlefords bounced back with a crazy 6-5 shootout win. Can you explain what happened over the weekend?
Specifically for Getzlaff right now, guy just couldn't miss, right?
Yeah.
When you're riding a hot stick and you're feeling it, he was feeling it. I think he maybe had 5 scoring opportunities and buried on 4 of them, and then scored in the shootout as well. So, a couple breakaways to start off, get that flow state, get that confidence, and then the puck just gravitated towards him. And any time there was a little bit of a sliver, he was putting it behind Daza Mitchell and in the back of the net. He single-handedly put the Battlefords North Stars on his back, because in game 2, the one the North Stars won in a shootout, I really feel Humboldt generated more of the opportunities. They kept Battlefords to the outside. They were the more physical team and more puck-possessive team. But all of a sudden, it would bounce one way, and it would go to Getzlaff and in the back of the net. And then it would bounce off a stanchion into the front of the net. Getzlaff, boom, into the back of the net. Power play here, one-timer. This is his 4th goal of the game. Boom, into the back of the net. It was every time the Broncos would have a good stretch of 8 minutes, good stretch of 10 minutes here, push down offensive pressure. It was Getzlaff with the puck, and he'd tie the game right back up. So kudos to him, because that was just a one-man wrecking crew on a guy that was just feeling it. And you could see it as the game progressed, that every time it went to number 22, you knew something could happen. On the other side, the Humboldt Broncos, maybe we could save the Humboldt Broncos, because I think our third segment is with them as well. But yeah, shout out Getzlaff, man. That was incredible. A guy who's never scored a multi-goal game in his career yet had a game with 4 of them and a shootout winner, so impressive.
Yeah, it's an opportunity thing. Obviously, still no Jackson Allen, still no Nikita Ivashenko for Battlefords, but we can talk about Nikita in a second here. But Battlefords, of course, we talked about it a lot. Melfort, 14-0 in 1-goal games this year, which is still just ridiculous. Who's the second most wins in the league with 1-goal games? That's Battlefords, right? 9-3, 3-2. More often than not, in a tight game, they find a way to win. And the last thing I'll say is, it was a really tough first game for Thomas Samborski for Battlefords against Notre Dame, a couple weeks ago. I thought he was better than that probably, and I think he showed that as well in that game at the EPA. Not an easy place to go on a Saturday night and come up with a win, and he found a way to win. So
stopping 3 of 3 in the shootout as well.
Yeah.
Cool note on the Battlefords, though, before we move on. I saw it on social media yesterday, and Nikita Ivashenko, who obviously was over across in Europe for the Tier B World Juniors, flew back, right? Yeah. And it looked to me like the whole team was there to greet Nikita at the airport, which, I mean, kudos to the coaching staff, the leadership group, to make this important and to get the team to go out and greet Nikita Ivashenko at the airport. I know that's a moment he won't forget, but that's really cool. That's really cool team bonding, and I love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Kennedy Schmidt, she's tuned in.
Kennedy probably had something to do with it as well.
Well, yeah. So
or everything.
You're right. But Kennedy, I think, is showing her bias a little bit, because she says last one to score that many goals was Kian Bell. And then she has a little Bell emoji there. And it's like,
it's true.
Kennedy, Keenan Ingram scored 4 goals like a few weeks ago.
Maybe she means Battlefords.
Maybe she does, but I'm just saying her bias is showing, Kennedy. Just saying, just bugging you, obviously. But
she's probably sleep deprived. She is infallible right now.
Well, they were just at the airport picking up Nikita Ivashenko at 3 a.m. or whatever time it was.
She's got a baby.
I know. We're all having fun here. But anyways, let's move on to the next topic, unless you guys want to add anything else. Let's bring the headlines back in here. And we see number 3 is flotation devices. So, Rory, I'm going to come right back to you.
Sure.
Because this is about the Humboldt Broncos, partially, and the Melville Millionaires. As they picked up some big wins, or at least one win this weekend when things were kind of not sure, we weren't sure where they were going with it, but both teams picked up some important points this weekend. So I'll start with you on Humboldt, and then Nugsy, if we can come with you with Melville, and we'll kind of go back and forth from there. But the big win on Friday obviously kicked off a pretty good weekend, 3 of 4 points for Humboldt.
Yeah, and even prior, Notre Dame, overtime, picked up 2, so 5 of 6 throughout the week. And the reason it's called flotation devices is because Humboldt and Melville were going through their struggles, right?
Yeah.
Basically, Melville more around that December 18th holiday break. Humboldt going even deeper into November, right? Just can't get anything consistent. 2 steps forward, 1 back, 2 back, 1 forward, however you want to put it. But both these teams were tossed that flotation device when they're trying to tread water. And they found some big wins to not only float a little bit ahead above playoff security, as Melville is now 5 points up on La Ronge for 7th to 9th, and Humboldt Broncos in between 3 points up on La Ronge with the game in hand. But for the Humboldt Broncos side, what they did is they found ways that will galvanize a build, right? One win against the Notre Dame Hounds is that first brick. But you can't do anything with a brick, right? You got to keep adding pieces to put up a wall, and then maybe you want a roof over top of it. Well, they found a way to come back trailing in the third period against the Notre Dame Hounds 3-2. They scored that big swing goal that we talked about that they just aren't getting recently, right? Then they win in overtime. Then they go into the Battlefords, a hard place to win on the road, and trailing 3-1 going into the second period. Humboldt had only won 1 game throughout the year when trailing going into the third period, and Battlefords had never lost in regulation when winning going into the third period. So a big comeback and, galvanization of the group in terms of, okay, this is something we can build upon of confidence. First 2-game winning streak since November 9th. First time they had a third period comeback since November 9th. And, belief in the group is a big thing, and confidence in the group is a big thing. So those 2 wins, I think, are big going forward. Yes, they had a couple leads slip apart on Saturday, but still found a way to get a point. 5 out of 6 points. And for Humboldt, it was just things that were not working consistently-wise and confidence-wise. You could see a little bit of a snowball effect there that week, and we'll see if it continues. Yeah. So a flotation device was tossed. Now they need to reel it in and get back to shore.
Look, there's no level of success that the Humboldt Broncos can have the rest of the year that would surprise me, because I believe that they have built this roster very, very well as anybody else. We were talking about this, Rory, off air before. Like, if you're a top team, is there another team in this league that you want to avoid in the first round of the playoffs than the Humboldt Broncos? They added Daza. And they always had a roster that I felt, and the way that I felt Jason Tatarnic even built his rosters, were more playoff-built rosters than regular season rosters. And this Broncos team, they have the talent. They've got Streetsy, they've got Kaufman, etc. They can score, but they're built to be gritty and tough and get in on the forecheck and hit you and make things happen off of the forecheck and turnovers and blah, blah, blah. It's the type of way that you win as the season changes. And at some point, the season always changes, whether it's January, whether it's February, early, whatever, more playoff heading towards. And the Broncos are built for that type of hockey.
Yep.
So there's no level of success. So if you're a Bronco out there, I'm calling you out. You should have been better than you already have been this year. But
they should have.
But I mean that as a compliment too, because you're a very good team and you should be better, and you will be better, I think, the rest of the way.
We'll have to do this in a couple of weeks coming. I know we want to talk about the Melville Millionaires as well, but from trade deadline to now, has there been a better piece than Cade Kennedy? Right? Kennedy's got 4 points, 3 goals, has a point in every single one of the Broncos games.
Next week. We'll do that next week.
Just a big acquisition that's made his impact early. I know a lot have. Liam Hunks has. Daza has a win as well. But, Cade Kennedy's been an underdog in that department.
For sure.
Well, so to segue on, I think a team that some of us were like, what's going on? Are they going downhill? What's going on? The Melville Millionaires, all of a sudden, Doug Johnson makes a few moves, and yes, they're not SJHL kids, so we don't know them as well, but Devin Winder and Louis Nadeau have come in and made a very instant impact for the Melville Millionaires as well. And you see there the teddy bear toss goal there for Melville. I spoke to Reno Hodge, who tipped it in, a beautiful tip. And he said it was a great feeling to see the teddy bears fly there and to see all the beautiful teddies on the ice. And that Melville community, getting behind. They've been getting behind the Melville team there the last couple of years. Great to see. And you also got to mention the boost to a locker room that it has to be for Jaden Iogan to get his commitment Division I to Tennessee State, which is, as you said, incredible. But this Melville team, whether they win or lose, they always play the same way. And again, we talk about a team that's not a fun playoff style hockey team. They do all the right things, whether they find a way to score that big goal in that big moment. They're going to be hard to play against. They're going to get the goaltending. They're going to be gritty, because if you don't do that for Doug Johnson, and he does not care who you are, you will sit at the end of the bench. That's the type of accountability that Melville has, whether you like it or not. You either learn from it and grow, and that's a good thing, or you quit. Those are the two options. That's what Doug gives you. But this Melville team, look, they're rejuvenated, it seems like to me. And good for them, because, again, you got to find that character, and they got a good enough team to do it.
Nick Jeanette, ladies and gentlemen, I know we had a comment from, is that mom or dad? That was dad. That was messaging.
Yeah.
78 of 80 on back-to-back wins for Nick Jeanette. So, huge.
I've said all year, he's so talented.
Yeah.
So talented.
Absolutely. The one thing that I've kind of noticed now, and they know they lost key pieces offensively, and you're trying to get pieces back, as you said. It's going to take a little bit of time for offense to grow, and that's the win-losses right now. They're being dependent on them. Melville has needed good goaltending to find wins through the stretch, get that flotation device since December 18th, and the flotation device in the wins has often been their goaltender, and this weekend, Nick Jeanette was exceptional. 3 games they've won since both Jury and Rothke left. They've held their opponents to a combined 4 goals in those 3 games. Melville has only scored more than 3 goals twice since both those players left. So they need to keep it low scoring until that group can, get a little bit of cohesiveness, figure out who everyone is, right? Of course, they're playing on under one of the best coaches to get that result in terms of keeping opposition off the board as much as possible. And when they do get it, they're picking up wins thanks to Nick Jeanette, thanks to solid defending, and then you get a goal here, a goal there. You can win 2-1, you can win 3-1, you can pick up 2 points, get that flotation device, and now you see it. They're 5 points up on the playoffs and a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have to be feeling so much better than they were when they were, I think, a point up on the 8th and final playoff spot, or even like right next to. A win for La Ronge at a certain point, like a week or two ago, would have tied them with Melville. Obviously, they held off, and now they're feeling a lot better, obviously. And going forward, it's going to be interesting to see. Now, guys, going from 2 teams that got some crucial points to going to 2 teams that maybe didn't get the points they wanted to, or didn't get any at all. Kindersley and La Ronge specifically is kind of who we're focusing on for the most part here. Kindersley, they have a 3-game losing streak going on right now. La Ronge lost their last one, but they had a really long road trip week last week that were kind of up and down. So can we talk about, let's start with Kindersley. And we'll just go with that, because obviously we were talking so highly of them before this past week, and now they've lost their last 3. So is it concerning? What were we looking at with the rocky road? This is topic number 4.
Not until they played, but
yes, well, of course,
it sucks. Before you go into the X's and O's, there was one point, maybe 2 weeks ago or something. It's like, okay, we're getting that separation for the standings. Now become a 3-team team, and now all of a sudden,
it's right back. It's right back.
Those teams win, and those teams
welcome
lose.
to the SJHL.
It's like, oh god,
the elastic band effect.
5 teams are right back into that race for the playoffs, where everyone's kind of flirting with 8th and worried about La Ronge, worried about Estevan. So, but Kindersley lost to Flin Flon twice and Melfort once.
In their barns. And you can kind of also throw Yorkton. I mean, it was a tough weekend for Yorkton. They had 2 pretty much home games as well, but so it doesn't fit Rocky Road per se. But tough weekends are going to happen. I don't know. I'm sure when Clayton or whoever it was at the scheduling meeting was like, well, that'll be an interesting weekend. But Clayton was on the Insider show, right?
On Thursday, we talked to him about it.
We're going to find out. He didn't, and to his credit, he wasn't like, obviously the Clippers went to win all those games. Yeah. You always do. But he didn't say we're going to go see if we're going to win. He said we're going to go see which of our guys can elevate their game in these tough situations. And I'm sure he gained a lot of positive, useful information about his team. Going into Melfort and 2 in Flin Flon right now, I don't know who in the league is going in there and getting any points maybe from that road trip. So maybe, is it fair to give Kindersley a pass, I guess? Obviously La Ronge, we've talked about that too. I don't know if their style of play is always conducive, to going out on the road and getting results. Obviously, they've got that great goaltending. They did get a win from the 4-game road trip. But I don't know, is that fair to say, or is that too kumbaya? What do you think?
I think it's fair to say.
Like to give them a pass throughout the stretch. I think it's pass of who they played. Melfort and Flin Flon said who's going to go in there and win. The one thing I would have liked, they got Mason Buchert to drive a little more offense. And I know you're going up against the best 2 defensive teams in the SJHL, but they were held to 1 goal twice and then a pair of goals in that 3-2 loss. So, do you want the games to be a little closer against that?
Sure.
When you do look at the standings, and we'll let this play out while we talk about La Ronge and Kindersley a bit with the highlights, and we're going to look at the standings. And then I want to pose a question to you is, there's a group of teams, right? Obviously, you can include Battlefords. I don't want to include Yorkton, but they are tied in points with Battlefords. So if you include one, you probably should include the other. And then it goes all the way to teams that are out of the playoffs. Are there teams more desperate to get over 7th place, to get out of the matchup to Melfort and Flin Flon? And I think Kindersley, knowing that it very well might be where they finish, they could finish 6th, they could finish 5th, they could still climb. But it's possible they finish 7th or 8th. They're going to be playing one of these 2 teams. And do you want them to be a little closer than 5-1 against Flin Flon, 4-1 against Melfort? Yes, it was a 1-goal game against Flin Flon again, but these are the buildings you're going to have to go through if you finish 7th or 8th. So that's the only thing. It's like, you give them a pass because, yes, they're the best teams in the league. But if you're 5th, 7th, or 8th, you got to beat them. Do you want it to be closer? I'm sure they're not giving themselves a pass. So then I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, remember when we talked to Clayton on Thursday last week, and I said, and you've been pointing this out for a long time, but they only have 5 more home games left the rest of the way overall. And if you can go out on the road now over the next month and a half and get ready to be battle tested on the road in buildings like that, it can only help. So when I asked Clayton Jardine, I said, Clayton, basically, are you looking at this as like a disadvantage the rest of the season? He said, kind of like you said, Newsy, no, we want to see who's going to elevate their game and get used to this, because we're probably going to have to win on the road in the playoffs. We're going to have to win on the road in the playoffs. So that was kind of the way he's looking at it. I really appreciate that about where the Clippers are at right now. So again, tough week, but probably learned more about themselves this week than they would have otherwise.
Do you want more on Kindersley?
I just wanted to quickly say, yes, you throw Mason Buchert into that lineup, and it's going to help any lineup.
Sure.
In the SJHL, but I still wouldn't say, I'd say the Clippers, we've talked about this, are more of a system team, play together, play the way that coach wants, as opposed to an electric offense. Even if you throw Mason in the mix, it's still a team that needs to keep the game, I think, lower scoring and lower instance. So, again, you got to find a way to score goals, and that, so again, it makes sense going against the best offense or defenses in the league that it might have a hard time.
I'll throw the standings, and we can mention La Ronge while talking about this. Well, it's just there's the grouping. Let's go 5 to 9, right? Battlefords. We'll say Yorkton. They had a bad week, but do we think? I believe they're a top 4 team in the SJHL.
Yes. Yeah.
So is there a team that you think is more inclined, more pressure on one of those 5 teams, Battlefords, Kindersley, Melville, Humboldt, La Ronge, to get out of not even get in the playoffs, get out of 7th, finish 5th or 6th? Is one of those teams have a little bit more pressure just based off how they play to get away from a potential Flin Flon Melfort, which is what we kind of foresee it finishing, what it's looking like it's going to be is Melfort, Flin Flon 1-2. Is there a team that more pressure to get to 6th, get out of that?
Yeah, you think about Kindersley and that because they're a bit younger. But I think, again, to me, it's between Kindersley and Melville, because I think Humboldt can beat anybody on a given night. Whereas those teams, I think maybe they need a little better matchup. Mm-hmm. So, probably they would really love to get out of that 7-8, but honestly, who wouldn't? But I think it's the most important for Melville. So
it's the best record against Melfort and Flin Flon between those teams actually belongs to the team out of the playoffs. The La Ronge Ice Wolves are 2-8 against Flin Flon and Melfort. Humboldt is 1-5. Is that the same percentage? No. 25%. 25% for La Ronge, 20% for Humboldt.
Yeah.
Humboldt and Melville are both 1-5. Battlefords, yes, they have a little bit of breathing room, so let's maybe not even include them. They're 2-3, so that is the best record. But out of the 4 teams, 6, 7, 8, 9, and Kindersley's 0-8. They have not beat Melfort. They have not beat Flin Flon. So until they do, I'm sure there's just a little bit of a shoot. I think just can't find a win against those.
To answer your question, in my opinion, and I kind of agreeing with you, Nugsy, in a sense, but when you look at Melville and Kindersley, and then you look at Humboldt and Battlefords, Humboldt's got Daza Mitchell. Battleford has Justin Merrick. The other 2 teams are heavily relying on 18-year-olds, as good as they are. Probably 2 of the best ones in the league. Probably 2 of the best ones in the league. But if I'm going into a playoff series against Melfort or Flin Flon, and I have Daza Mitchell or Justin Merrick, no offense to the other guys, I'm feeling better. So that would be my answer, would be those 2. And again, playoffs are a whole different beast. But those 2 guys have been through them, so
and it's not even safe yet. I mean, if La Ronge picks up another 3, if La Ronge picks up another 3 points on this road trip, right? They're in the playoffs, and Humboldt's out right now. So let's not discredit La Ronge.
As Kelly Lewick said, our graphic designer, he said, shout out to Logan Falk, who had a really good game against, I think it was Estevan, just a couple nights ago. And he's a 20-year-old goalie, also looking to make a name for himself as well, and he's with La Ronge. So I guess when we're just talking about goaltender experience, that's all I'm mentioning. I'm not saying anything bad about Brett O'Halloran and Nick Jeanette, because those guys are absolute beauties. But 20-year-old goalies coming playoff time, it could be an X factor. So that's where we'll leave it, I think. Odds and ends time, guys. We kind of wrapped that up good. I think we want to talk about the showcase.
Well, you and I got a chance to kind of talk about maybe who we would have liked to be there that wasn't there, and so I thought maybe we'd give Rory
a shot.
As a shot to
give him another shot.
Throw a shout out to
one guy.
Let's go through the rosters first.
Well, quickly, very quickly. Don't read them all out. Just you can see them, throw them up there quickly. But Rory can talk.
So this is Team Blue. So this is the under 18
I've seen them. I wasn't on the show to talk about it.
Just so everyone watching is aware, we can refresh their memories. This is the Team Blue. Obviously, this is all the guys who are 18 years or younger. Let's move on to, I think Team Gold is next. So this is obviously now moving into the 20-year-old rosters. As you can see, there's lots of great names on this team, all the teams, of course. And then Team White, as you can tell, I know everyone's reading really fast right now, but this is more of the Melfort-Yorkton team. Humboldt's in there, Battleford's in there. The previous team was more Flin Flons and some of the other, Weyburn, I believe, and some of the other teams there. So that's how we split it. Every year, the teams get split kind of, out of the top 4 teams, it's usually 1 or 2 of the top 4 kind of split, and then they kind of mix and match the rest. But they try to keep teammates together. They do keep teammates together, usually about 6 and 6. If they're going to split the teams up, it's about 6 teams on one team, 6 teams on the other team, and they fill it out the way they fill it out. But Rory, if you're looking at those rosters now that you've had a chance to refresh, is there a guy that you're like, how the heck did this guy not make it?
There's guys that deserve to be in the showcase roster. Then there's guys that earned the right to be in the showcase roster. And one player isn't there is Dawson Carroll, who earned his right to be there. And I think it's a little bit of a travesty that he's not. The guy that went through his SJHL up and down, a little bit of junior B, a little bit of SJHL, tough to crack a roster, in and out of the lineup for the playoffs.
Guitar.
Traded out to a non-playoff team, comes in as a 20-year-old. 19 goals this season, guys. 19 goals for Dawson Carroll. I feel that he brings an intangible to a roster that scouts would absolutely love to see, and a guy that puts himself in the right areas to get hard-working goals. He's earned his right to be there, and it's my biggest omission by a mile that Dawson Carroll isn't in the showcase.
Seventh in the league in goals.
And he can fly.
Hard-working guy.
We were talking about. I was talking about who I highlight. I look for the guys that can skate. Dawson can skate,
but he also will run you through a wall.
And he'll run you through a wall.
Agitate the heck out of you. He'll get to the front of the net. He's burying goals at will right now. And he was a guy that had to earn for every minute of ice time throughout his junior career, and that I respect. So I would have loved him to get a chance to showcase.
He bet on himself.
He
could have stayed in Flin Flon and worked for ice time and tried to make it. But he's like, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself and go be a key guy in Kindersley. And he did it, so good for him.
Great pick. I like that a lot. And you know what? This is 2 things I'll say about this. One, whoever decides to give Dawson Carroll a commitment at some point, because he's in his 20-year-old year, so at some point they're going to get a great player. And the SJ always turns out these types of players. Second point, if he's out, everyone else on these rosters we talked about this, Nugsy, just like, man, are these rosters loaded? These are good rosters, and there's a lot of players on these rosters who are going to make a college team very, very happy that don't currently have commitments. So, hey, scouts, wake up. sign these guys. Get these guys signed. There's a lot of great players, and Dawson Carroll, great
and you
mention.
need guys that are nightmares to play against.
Yeah.
Even if he had 10 goals on the year, he deserves to play somewhere because he's a nightmare to play against. He's got 19 goals this year.
Yeah. 19.
Come on.
Again, 7th in the league in goals right now. Jordan in the back, can we bring up the division standings? We brought up the league standings. Let's bring up the division standings. We like to give shout outs to our sponsors, of course. Viterra Division. As you can see, Weyburn's taken off right now, 7-3 in their last 10 games. They are currently in the lead in the Viterra Division. We got Melfort still holding on. I say still holding on because, boy, is Flin Flon doing everything they possibly
21
can.
games unbeaten for Flin Flon. 21 games.
This is the crazy part.
That is crazy.
In regulation.
In regulation.
They have
Okay.
That's
one loss in the shootout.
I didn't say 21 game win streak.
one loss in
To
shootout,
who?
one loss in
La
an
Ronge.
overtime.
To La
To La
Ronge,
Ronge.
right. And
And
they
an
lost to
overtime loss.
Battlefords too.
Right, overtime loss. Yeah,
So
yeah.
21 games without a loss in regulation, and they are still 9 points
21
back
out of 37 games.
of the Melfort Mustangs.
That's
crazy,
ridiculous.
It is crazy. So I say the Melfort Mustangs are holding on. They still have a 9-point cushion, but I can only imagine they hear the footsteps either way. And then in the Nutrien Division, as we mentioned earlier, Battleford's kind of got a couple points this weekend. Kindersley, not so much. They probably, all things considered, if they would have maybe got a couple points, they'd be right there at the top of the Nutrien Division, but they are not very far off. So that's going to be a battle the rest of the way as well. And as you can see, the rest of the standings as well. I won't go over them just because we got to move on. But some really interesting.
Through 10 games played, the Flin Flon Bombers have gained 1 point on the
1
Melfort
point.
Mustangs with a 9-0-1 record. You gained 1 point on them. They're 9-1.
What else do you got? What else do they got to do?
There's no
right?
room up there.
Just
Yeah,
keep
you're not-
doing what they're doing.
Well.
Let's move on to the Tourism Saskatchewan highlight of the week. This time we're going to the Yorkton Terriers. It is member of my fantasy hockey team, Jeff Hammond. Let's check it out.
End of a long shift for Ingram. He's able to find Coyle and head to the bench. Into the zone. Here's Hammond. Hammond takes the shot. He scores! Jeff Hammond gets a favorable bounce. He puts it behind the net.
A favorable bounce, maybe, but boy, in tight like that, puck bouncing, basically a defender all over him.
Yeah,
That's a
stick
tough
around
play.
to get around the defenseman too,
Absolutely.
right? A little chip around.
Now,
Yeah.
save this memory for later, guys, because later on in the show, we're going to be doing like top line, top goaltending tandem, top D pairing. Hammond, Coyle, and Ingram were out there together. Was that a power play? Because, my goodness, is that maybe one of the best lines in the league? We'll talk about
They
that.
don't play together
teaser.
usually, though,
No,
so.
I know. They aren't usually listed as a line, but they were out there at the same time. Does that count? I don't know. But I think Yorkton might have a couple candidates for that one. We'll get to that later on, though. If you see a highlight of the week, as we just showed you guys, if you see one, or if you're at the rink and you're like, wow, that goal will live on in infamy, and we want to put it on the Tourism Saskatchewan highlight of the week, send us a message. Nugsy, Rory, myself, the SJHL, tweet us, send us something and say, hey, this guy's goal at this time of this game was so good. You guys got to put that on the show. Send it to us so we know, so we don't miss anything. Our guys in the back catch a lot. They catch almost everything, pretty much everything, I would say. But every once in a while, we don't catch the significance of something. So please let us know if you see one, a big save, a big hit, anything like that. Let us know. And big shout out to Chevrolet for all of our highlight packages throughout the show so far. It is time for Nugs and Notes.
Oh, does he have a different outfit?
No, I don't think so. Oh, it's a tweed jacket.
There you go. Good old my old buddy. There you go. Love that guy.
Not to be confused with Jacques Newberry.
Not to bury my kidney Summerplay Jr. All right. Nugs and notes. Try to be quick. I always say that. I guess I never succeed.
No.
Big shout out to Quinn Tavender of the Yorkton Terriers.
Hey.
Second intermission. Was walking down the way and the guy said, "Hey, do you want some Skittles?" During the game, Quinn Tavender asked me if I wanted some Skittles.
He knows the way to your
He
heart.
said, "You know my love language, Quinn."
Yeah.
So kudos to you, Quinn. Nice kids on the Yorkton Terriers. Man, oh man. Great to see the smiling face of Dustin Arenas. Always great to see that kid. All right. Mentioned it during the show. Obviously got a big round of applause. So wherever you are, clap. Jaden Iogan, Tennessee State University. They're going to start D1 hockey next year. Jaden's going to go there in 26-27. So NCAA Division I commit for the Melville Millionaires, forward to Calgary. Great for him, and congratulations. Stay in the SJ, get your D1 commit. Love it. Ethan Hilbig has hit 200 games in the SJHL. Nice. You do not see that very often anymore.
No.
You used to a bit more often. Played his 201st game on the 18th, his 200th on the 17th, and including playoffs. Not including playoffs, he's 197. Connor Tate and I were trying to figure out whether you include playoffs or not in these things. I don't really know. So I did. I just said, okay, he's got 201 games wearing the Kindersley jersey. Congratulations, Ethan. Local boy as well. Good for you. Flynn Flondenwood, which I know doesn't sound extremely clear, but I meant Lindenwood University.
Lindenwood.
Two of their top 3 scorers are Flin Flon Bombers alum. Noah Houle and Jaden Mercier are 2 and 3 in scoring in Lindenwood. Noah Houle's a defenseman, by the way, of course.
Sure.
Playing D1. And also in the top 10 for that team in scoring, Jake Southgate, Ethan Zilke, and Drew Kuzma. All SJ guys. So 5 of the top 10 scorers on that one D1 NCAA team, SJHL recent alumni. So good for them. And Rory, as you mentioned, Nikita Ivashenko is back. His team Ukraine did win that tournament, and they will go on to the Division I World Juniors next year. Ukraine beat Japan 7-2 in the gold medal game in Estonia there, and Nikita did get into that game and into the semis. He dealt with illness during the tournament. Glad that he's back and did play 2 games and scored a goal, which I think you sent the video of, Clark. So good for Nikita to get
shout
in.
out to his billet in Battlefords.
Yes.
Jeremy's really hooked me up with a bunch of pictures and videos and stuff, but we did share the goal, the video of him scoring a goal.
I believe against Italy. I'm not 100% sure. I believe. So good for you, Nikita. And Sask Finest last Wednesday, I didn't mention it on the on SJHL Insider, was on Marty Martinson, the broadcaster of the Estevan Bruins. And the final Golden Sheaf Cantera Seeds article is going to come out this Wednesday. And it's going to be on Tommy Reese of the Yorkton Tennis. So that was news and notes.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jamie. Jacques.
Got to know Kulubek?
Now, we are going to...
Vinny Palmarin.
It's true. I'm going to throw a curveball at you guys. We're going to hit a break, but after the break, we're having a little bit of technical issues. I think it's just too cold. The whole world is too cold.
Oh, no.
And people are having issues with our system. So Josh Kotai is having trouble logging in. So we're going to give him a little extra wiggle room and time. We're going to move our 3rd segment topics to after the break.
Okay.
So we're going to bring, after the break, we'll do Players of the Week. We have our best performers, top performers. I don't know what we're calling this yet.
Best of
the SJHL. We're just going to have some fun.
At game 37.
Hopefully, by the end of that segment, we'll have everything figured out and we can get it going. So we're going to hit a break. Stay tuned till after the break. We have a lot more coming for you.
Your new truck trade-up has arrived at Capital GMC. Volume pricing is back. As inventory levels go up, prices come way down. And right now, we have over 250 brand new GMC Sierras to choose from. Lease a Crew Cab 4x4 Pro Edition for only $269 bi-weekly plus tax with $0 down. Or work with our finance experts to get the best available rates. Plus, GM certified pre-owned inventory is back too. Shop over 150 vehicles, all makes, all models. It's finally time for your new truck trade-up, only at Capital GMC.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That's the population of Martinsville. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
Saskatchewan's far north is where the land itself inspires. It's the beauty and power of wilderness, the solitude of a place far removed from what you might know. When this landscape surrounds you, it's like nothing else. Come and let it awaken you, energize you. Come and create your story in our Northern Lights and Waterways. Saskatchewan.
In a year where Amazon sold its first book, Alanis topped the charts, and the Frappuccino became cool, we were there. Trusted by the Saskatchewan construction industry since 1995. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch! But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 138. You could build your own pallet furniture. So you're living on your own. You gotta save money by building furniture with pallets. Or get Infinite 150 for only $50 a month with SaskTel student deals.
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Ooh, welcome back inside. We are officially into the second segment here now, and this is actually going to be technically our third segment. We're going to transplant it into the second segment, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I just want to, can we read a comment right now, guys, or no?
Frozen.
No.
No. Okay, I'm going to read it out loud.
You can read? I'm just kidding.
Shocker. Shocker of the day. But Daytona Montaigne just giving us all a shout out, and I just figured she's from Melfort, obviously. Huge appreciation to you announcers. Our radio guy missed a few games, Ben Tompkins. He was sick over the last couple weeks, and he was battling. And it really shows how amazing you guys all are. How cold is it where you guys are this morning in Melfort? It was minus 37. Yeah, it's about that.
Minus 45 at the wind chill when I woke up.
Yeah, it's about that.
Fun time.
So just want to say thank you to Daytona.
It's interesting she should mention that because Ben Tompkins was filling in for a sick Austin Mattis in Battlefords a couple weeks ago.
So. Well, Ben was sick too not that long ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
It was a while ago maybe, but either way, she's just saying shout out to everybody, all the radio guys, you guys included.
Thank you.
I don't include myself in that conversation. I just jump in when I can.
You were on the broadcast in Humble. We had a full press box there from Wilcox.
That was wild.
And you talk about reading.
Yes,
right?
yes, reading.
The place where you begin the building blocks to learn how to read and how to get together is a preschool. And I might have a beef with Abigail's preschool here because I mean, you said it was National Go Outside and Take a Walk Day, but I had it written on my fridge, as Megan always does, as National Cheese Lovers Day. So
fight.
What is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Does the preschool have the wrong day?
I don't know who
or
has
is it both?
So one is Megan, very smart person, and one is an educational institution.
I'm not going to pick a side.
Well, that would be dangerous on your part.
You should probably pick a side.
but I'm still,
you can pick a side.
But I'm still cheesed, pun intended, that Daza gave Megan gluten-free pizza, not me. So I think Megan's got plenty of cheese.
We'll make a grilled cheese.
Yeah.
And then just take it outside and go for a walk.
Yeah. Or eat it inside, given that it's minus 40.
That's true.
We could walk around the building in here eating grilled cheeses. I'm in. Bryce, fire up the grill. Okay, let's move. Let's get. Oh, we probably can't put up players of the week right now because we're having issues with our system right now. You're seeing us. Everything here is good, but we just have part of our system is just like.
We could do players of the week.
You can do players of the week. Yeah. Okay, let's do players of the week now. Players of the week. Or Rory's Rapid Fire. Brought to you by Elk Ridge.
To who?
Rory, you're going to rapid fire players of the week. Okay. We're having fun here today. Again, it's too cold, and so cool everything hates being too cold. Including my vehicle, which is outside right now, not wanting to start. MVP of the week this week, we talked about him a bit. Massive game, Colton Getzlaff for the Battlefords North Stars. A huge week. There he is. He's got a 5-game point streak going on. He had a 4-goal game. He had the shootout winner. Holy cazzoles. Colton Getzlaff putting on a show. The Borgo forward of the week, Jacob Streetsy. Now, there was like 72 options for forward of the week. So, Jacob, consider yourself the winner. However, there was a lot of good options. But Jacob Streetsy had 2-game winners this week.
That's what pushed him over the top.
One against Notre Dame and one against Battlefords.
And I think he leads the league in Zeds in his last name probably too.
You know what? That's probably a good point.
You know what else has 2 Zeds?
Zeds
pizza. by Daza Mitchell, which would be to me and not you.
Daza also has 2
Daza
Zs.
does as well.
Good point.
Oh boy. Oh no.
Humboldt's just stacking guys with Zeds.
Yeah. Humboldt
Good
leads
strategy, Braden.
Humboldt leads the league in Zeds per minute, or Zeds per 60.
I could use a couple Zeds right now.
We're gonna end this show early today, I think.
We do have content. We have more stuff that we could get to.
Super U Defenseman of the Week. Speaking of Zeds, we're going to La Ronge with Rylan Silzer. He's got points in 5 of 6 games in January. This guy is leading the way for a La Ronge team that's scrapping for every point right now. So shout out to Ryan Silzer. Also, newest member of the team Money Men, my fantasy hockey team in the SJHL. The SaskTel Goalie of the Week. Okay, we got a theme going on here. Another Zed. Angelo Zoll is the goaltender of the week. So far, every single player has had a Z in their name.
Interesting.
Getzlaff, Streetsy, Silzer,
true.
Zoll. So I guess if you want to win awards in the SJHL, just change your last name.
Add a Z.
That is pretty impressive now that we look at it.
We didn't try, I promise.
Great week for Angelo. He's second in the league in wins right now for goaltenders. He's having a monster year. It seems like every week, guys, Angelo Zoll or Matthew Keeper right now are just kind of rotating back and forth for the goalie of the week. It's pretty wild. Speaking of goalies, we talked about him earlier. He almost won goalie of the week, but we switched it up a little bit. The IKS Media Rookie of the Week is Nick Jeanette of the Melville Millionaires. A fantastic week for him. 2 starts, 2 wins. A 1 goals against average, a .923 save percentage. Right now, guys, don't look. Well, you can actually. Please go look. He is 4th in the league for goals against. Now, I said save percentage. I'm not sure if he's 4th in the league for save percentage, but he's 4th for goals against.
That's what he is.
Out of everybody in the league, he's 4th. And
unlike his dad's playing.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. And the Cantera Seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Week. Welcome to the SJHL, Estevan Bruins of the Estevan Bruins. Look at him. He got his first SJHL goal in his debut. He had a 4-point debut. So shout out to Estevan Bruins. Welcome to the league. Probably could have won Rookie of the Week, but like I said, this is the way it all played out.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's our Players of the Week for this week, guys. No Zeds in the last 2. So.
Speaking of making your debut, I did want to shout out, and I forgot to earlier, so I apologize. Luke McKechnie of the Yorkton Terriers called up from the Moose Jaw AAA.
Did he buy you Skittles?
He did not buy me Skittles, though I'm always open to it. He made his SJHL debut. They decided to give a goalie an SJHL debut in Kenora.
Yeah.
Which, interesting decision. That's why Emery gets paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
But Luke McKechnie was unbelievable. Him and Spencer Bortles were both unbelievable in Kenora. They've both faced a combined, listen to this, 120 shots. And a lot of people messaged me and were like, is that legit? I said, 100% it's legit. It was nuts, and it was super fun.
I've never been to Kenora. Is that rink
Tiny,
like a Nipawin, La Ronge? Tiny?
Oh, it's smaller than those.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
It's like one zone in Wilcox.
That's wonderful.
It was tiny, and McKechnie was absolutely wonderful, terrific.
That's awesome.
I thought there was a force field for 40
How
minutes.
is calling a game in a rink that small? Because you're like,
fun.
yeah, it's around the net. It's all of a sudden it's not.
Exactly. It was out of breath, but you know, Rory, like when you're calling a game and it's a lot of energy and excitement on the ice, it makes it so much easier to call.
Yeah.
So it was as simple as getting out of the way because the action was unreal.
You know, I love our man Marty Martinson, and I believe he would be the best in a small rink like that because
I'll hear him.
His energy levels are up at a lot of times, and if a guy's coming around the net and he passes it in the chat, he scores! He's coming around the net to the neutral zone.
Yeah.
Sorry, Marty, that's the compliment.
I was like on this catwalk, like right above the Yorkton Terriers bench. And there was some really nice speeches before the game talking about Kelly McClintock, the general manager of Hockey Saskatchewan, who's retiring. But there were a lot of speeches. And I think Dustin Arenas looked up and I looked down for a second and we made eye contact. And we were like, maybe we could have one fewer speech.
Was it cold?
It was very cold, yes.
Okay.
Megan has checked in on Facebook.
Nice.
100,000%. It's National Cheese Lovers Day, Noogsy.
She's fighting the public school system.
Daytona's checking it back in. She has pizza, cheese pizza for National Cheese Day. There you go.
Eat that pizza, Megan.
And
enjoy it.
Nicole Gagnon saying she's applying for a name change now. I believe Nicole is related to Kai Banoche. Yes, correct? There's some sort of relation there. Mom? Or what are we working with here? Anyways, I think there's a relation there. So if Kai Banoche comes back with a Z in his last name at some point, we know what's going on.
To get him onto a player of the week.
Kai Banoche.
We know why. All right, we're going to have some fun here as we continue on here. It's fun time. We're going to call it the best of the SJHL. We don't have any graphics or anything. We're just chatting. We're just shooting We're just shooting stuff. I was going to say another word, but I can't say that on this program. We're going to start with, there we go. We got some comments again. We're going to start with the best defensive pairing, the best D pairing. So this could be anybody. This could be, but we are kind of talking about guys who do actually kind of play together. You can pick two random dudes if you want, but let's try to stay with guys who actually play together. The reason this came about was because last week on this show, I think it was this show, I said that Liam Hunks and Cole Tanchuk might be the best defensive pairing in the league after the trade, now that Hunks is in Flin Flon and they're listed as playing together. Is there any other options that you guys come up with for this one?
I went elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I have Nick Andrusiak and Ty Thornton of the Melfort Mustangs. Overall, the team just has better numbers right now, 71 goals against. Only team in the SJHL to allow less than 1,000 shots against so far this season. 100 less than second place Flin Flon and 500 less than a league worse La Ronge. But I like what Andrusiak and Thornton both bring. They both can drive offense. They're really good, steady in their own zone. Not taking anything away from anyone else, including that newly anointed line in Flin Flon. I just went with a slight edge to Andrusiak and Thornton, two 20-year-olds there.
Yeah, I mean, the two top pairings of the two top teams.
Yep.
Simple as you get. Hunks and Tanchuk, Andrusiak, Thornton. And a very, very special mention to a deep pair I've loved all year, and they've stuck together all year. Dallin Oxelgren and Max Chakrabarty.
Love that.
In Weyburn, they've been terrific together as well. And every time Humboldt plays, it's Fouquet and McElwain. They've been good too. Well. So you could see all those pairings seem like they're all going to be, well, maybe not the Weyburn one, but other than that, could be together at the showcase.
The only non-20-year-old there, Chakrabarty. Oh, and McElwain too. McElwain and Chakrabarty, both 19-year-olds.
Right.
So veteran, D-men.
Yeah.
Not a shocker. That's, littered through our list.
You have like an all-star and then like a guy who just works hard and does his job on kind of all those pairings, and they're perfectly put together.
I like it. Let's move on. Best line, best forward line now. We kind of teased it earlier when we were joking that David Coyle, Jeff Hammond, and Keenan Ingram are out on the line together. But again, there's probably two or maybe even three options the Yorkton could probably go with for this kind of conversation. But is there anybody else that stands out for you guys? Best line.
The hard part picking Yorkton and Weyburn with me is that I feel they juggle more than others, right? Than keep them the same.
I mean, they've had Brilts with Renus and Ingram together for a while.
And I had DK and Maharaj, but they're apart a lot of the times unless they need goals. And then they put them together. Right. And when they're together, they're very, very hard to start. One line, and I think you agree with me as well, is you got to go back for the defending champions, and it's Belton, Summers, and Hutchinson. They always seem to be together for Melfort.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, they've got two like ridiculous lines. Obviously the Kotai line too, with Munroe and
not me.
And Paul, obviously, that's great too. But yeah, I mean, again, you can't go wrong with any of those. So I'm not gonna argue. I do love Maharaj there with Cyprus on that top line there for Weyburn as well. But gotta love it.
There you go. Anyone else to add?
I mean, Senft, Piccinino, and Ringer in Flin Flon.
And
right?
they have been together for a long time.
They've been together for a while.
Even Carruthers with Cormier and whoever they put them with. That's a good line as well. And
I mean, you put me in between Renus and Ingram, and they're going to get some points.
That's true.
So,
it works out usually pretty well.
Brilts does win face-offs. That's a big thing. So
exactly. A lot of good lines across the league. Okay, let's move on. Best goalie tandem. We're talking both guys here. We're not just talking best goalie. We're talking tandem. Nugsy, I'll start with you. I was going to say mine, but
I mean, it was Zoll and Daza, obviously. I think pretty clearly. But honestly, I don't know if this is in left field, but to me, it's Brown and Falk.
Yeah, I like it.
It's not a bad
Brown
choice.
And Falk.
I was thinking about it.
Again, I don't know if I'm stealing yours, Keeper and Marquardt as well, elite. But I'm going to say Brown and Falk in La Ronge.
Yep. You want to throw somebody else in there?
I mean, I'm just going to sound like a broken record going with the Melfort Mustangs again and again and again, but in their first place. I like them as the dark horse. I didn't think Nugsy would have it, and I wanted to shout them out. So, I mean, it's hard just to say anyone outside of Melfort right now with what they're doing, but it's an interesting look at it with those two and the amount of shots they need to face.
Yes.
And both of them are serviceable.
How critical they are to La Ronge when they win.
Very critical.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like that answer a lot, actually.
Farrell, Craig, right? Save percentages are lower than what you'd like to be, but again, when you talk about guys that have
the
won.
way the team plays.
The way the
also.
team plays, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Just shout out to Spencer Borsos because he is his own goalie tandem.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say
No one else plays.
I just wanted to say that. He's his own goalie tandem.
Caden Perron is a beauty.
No, I'm not saying anything bad about Caden
Love me
Perron.
some Caden
I
Perron.
love Caden Perron. I'm just saying Borsos plays like 98%.
Always got a
of the
smile.
nights.
Always got a smile on his face,
Yeah.
Caden Perron, no matter what.
Now this one's just for fun. Throw out any name you want. Top 3 shooters in the league. Shooters, anyone. Just throw names out there.
Okay, well, I nailed it down to 3.
Okay, you got.
I just had a little bit of a pivot because when we do top 3 shooters last year, it was easy. It was night and day. It was Cage Newens, Chase Friedmore, Carter Anderson, boom, right?
Yeah.
This year, it's like, man, I can't really think of someone who just has that who would win a harder shot competition, right? In the skills competition. So I went with best shooter as someone who has the heaviest shot.
Sure.
Where it's just pro-like. You see it come off the stick, you hear it hit the back of the net, it whizzes by you, right when it hits the netting. And I went Keenan Ingram off of Yorkton, Riley Kotai off of Melfort, and Nikita Ivashenko off of Battlefords.
Nice.
All 3 just heavy, pro. Doesn't need to be a cannon like Newens or Friedmore or Anderson, but it's just off their stick and it's different than everyone else.
I don't know. Ingram's got a bullet too. The only one that I'm going to add to that list is Zach Summers. He's really kind of taken that Friedmore role. He's added a lot of bulk and strength to himself. So that, and then I'm just going to pivot again, talk about wrist shots. Purely wrist shots.
Sure.
Mason Buchert, to me, is the wrist shot champ.
He's the king.
And Zach Anderson gets a special mention as well. There in Kindersley, he's got a cannon of a wrister.
Every time I've seen Jacob Streetsy, he finds a way to puts out an unbelievable
He's more
shot or two
accurate
as well.
than anything.
Streetsy's he's a legend. Top 3 hitters. Top 3 hitters.
This is a fun topic.
I listed about 8 of them, so I'll let Newsy go first, and I'll be like, I had all of them.
I'm going to say this is the honorable mention category. Just throw names out. Let's have some fun.
To me, the undisputed heavyweight champions, there are 2 heavyweight hitter champions of the world on the SJHL, are Matt Chemis in Melville and Nolan Roberts on Melfort. Those are the 2. Yeah. And then Austin Shepard, I'll throw in there too for Melfort just because he does it so much.
Yeah.
So those are my 3.
No Anthony Nolan.
Well, I
was expecting Anthony Nolan.
I love the Masher, buddy. I mean, his
nickname is the Masher.
He's got some developing to do. He's also got more offense than some people think.
He had a good game against Humboldt the other night.
I had all 3. Had Roberts, had Shepard, had Chemis. I also tossed in Michael Dowdle off of Humboldt, who's among the league leaders in hits and has had some thunderous hits. Sometimes puts him in the penalty box, but nonetheless, big hitter. Dawson Carroll, we know, can throw the body around, especially on the forecheck. Thomas Reese of the Yorkton Terriers knows how.
Strong.
And then one, again, I pivoted because he's not one to really, have a multitude of thunderous hits. But Fiersten Lindorf of the Notre Dame Hounds, when you try to hit him, it doesn't end up well for you. He's very, very strong, and he's hard to hit.
Yeah.
Maybe not the hardest hitter, but very hard to hit. I thought he needed an acknowledgement as well.
I think we've heard that about Jackson Herchak, too, in the past.
Herch is a big hitter.
Yeah.
Your buddy there, your cousin there, Binner.
Yeah.
He can
Caleb.
throw it. I mean, every single year, Melfort leads the league in hits.
Yeah.
And for good reason. And to throw in an extra
Landon
category,
Stromey, I'll throw in there.
That's sort of part of this, like Landon Stromey. Chad LeBeau there on Weyburn is another one. When he hits, it sounds different too. And then best shot blocker, it wasn't a category, I'm just throw it in. We mentioned Tommy Reese. Nobody in the SJHL, in my opinion, blocks shots like Tommy Reese. So
there you go.
Did you talk about it in
Tommy Reese
SAS Finest?
Yes.
You did?
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and another guy, just because he's massive, Seth Dragon, just because he's massive.
Yes,
he's like top, he's 7th in the league in hits as well.
Whether it's, from the front or from behind.
Yeah, there you go. Well, he's 7th in the league in penalty minutes, 7th in the league in penalty minutes. But top 3 passers. This is going to be a fun one. Again, you can feel free to throw out a few names if you want to, but top 3 passers.
Easy.
Yeah.
Top one's easy.
Yeah, it's obviously Jerome Maharaj.
Yeah. I think that's
he's
the
got
consensus.
He's got that like Gretzky sense where you throw it to a space and there's like a Weyburn stick that just appears and it lands on it in a perfect way. Like Jerome is one. For me, Liam Hunks, again, I've watched it a lot. Huge Liam Hunks fan, as you obviously know.
Sure.
But just
I've
the way
heard that,
he can pass. And maybe not like in terms of the killer pass, though he has it in his locker. But breakout passes and being precise in that way, Jackson Herchak is elite in that way. So
love that.
I had Maharaj, I had Max Chakrabarty, his Weyburn teammate, again, can break out when you put him on the power play quarterbacking it. It's on and off. It's very quick. He also uses his shot as a deceptive tool to open up people that needs to block that shot lane, and then boom, it goes over there and into the back of the net. And Jerrington Wyatt as well, another guy that gravitates a lot of attention to him and then can put it anywhere he wants to on the ice. If you give him a shoot lane, he's taking it. But if not, he's going to find someone else, and he's really good at doing that.
I'm going to say Luke Lepper might be in that group, and I'm also going to throw Jeff Hammond into the group just because I want to. And this one is a fun one. Best group of rookies on a team. There's a few teams that have like 3, 4, 5 rookies, and I just thought it'd be fun to kind of give a shout out to the teams that you think have the best group of rookies on the team.
Dude, it might be the Notre Dame Hounds right now as they're being led by rookies, right? They traded away a bunch of their guys that are very important. Ian Biors, Hudson Kerr, Naka Jean, Fierson Lindorf. It very well might be the Notre Dame Hounds. I am going to give a slight edge just to where they are in the standings and the discredit we gave to them at the beginning of the year as the Yorkton Terriers and their 3 blue liners. Dahl, Palin, and I wrote it down. Why am I not having it here? I must have deleted it.
On the back end? Well, Tommy Reese is still a rookie.
Dahl, Palin, and Reese. Yes, of course. We talked about them. You don't often get 3 key defensemen in one season that are all rookies that are contributing.
And the skittle deliverer,
Quinn Cavender. Vinay Junek is listed as a rookie, if you want to count him as one.
It's a good call. I think Kindersley as well is led by like the Herchak, Wheeler, Sautner, Dostal. I love Stein Dostal. He's really grown up in front of our eyes. So I would actually say Kindersley is my answer.
I like that.
But Kindersley, Yorkton are my 2 answers.
Yeah, my answer was going to be Yorkton, so there we go. That kind of does it here. I believe now our system is working. They've rejigged it. They've reset it. And Josh Kotai is going to be ready to go. So let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by former Battlefords North Stars, current star of the Augustana. Is it the Vikings? Did we confirm this?
It is
the Vikings? Of course it is. Josh Kotai will be with us after the break.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That is the same population as Weyburn. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
My name is Kyle McIntyre, and I'm the commissioner of the SJHL. We have 12 teams spread out all over this amazing province. 12 teams that hit the road for combined 324 season games. We take hockey players and we make them better. We make them better at hockey and better at life. That's what the SJHL is all about. We have a great league, we have great teams, great ownership, the best fans, the best partners, and the best sponsors.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 236. You could dye your own hair. Or you could save up to $20 a month on a new wireless plan with SaskTel Student Deals.
Enjoying what's around you. That's what it's all about. Farm to table, in season, locally foraged, look out the window and that's exactly what you'll see on your plate. It's the kind of experience that you'll compare everything else to for years to come. And it's so close, you can almost taste it. Indulge in our unlimited lakes and parkland. Saskatchewan.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside SJHL Weekly. We are moving on, and as we normally do on the show, we bring on a guest. Obviously, we were having some issues, but we figured it out. So let's head out onto the video chat now. We're going to be joined by, this is a familiar face. He's been on the show before, Josh Kotai, joining us, obviously, with the University of Augustana now, Battlefords North Stars alum. Josh, thanks for joining us today. I'm sure his microphone is... Got it. Now try again. Josh, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
There he is. Now, Josh, I'm not going to bury the lead. Obviously, some pretty big news. Your little brother is ripping it up in the SJHL. That's the big news, I think, in your world. Can you talk to us? Obviously, we do have some big news, and we'll get to that momentarily. But just for fun to start it off, does your brother brag to you at all? Like, hey, you know, Melfort, we're maybe a little bit better than you guys were when you were in Battlefords. What was Christmas like for you guys?
No, Christmas was fun. We only had a couple days together, but they were jam-packed and full of fun. Obviously, there was lots of talk about the Christmas break, I guess our team records and stuff like that at Christmas break. And so it was like, comparing who's better and whatnot. But yeah, no, it was lots of fun. Got out on the ice with him a couple times, which was pretty cool. And so, yeah, it's good.
There you go.
Well, let's read out some stats. I'm sure you like this, Josh. 19 games played, a 168 goals against average, a 945 save percentage, 2 shutouts, a 12-5-2 record at D1 level as a sophomore for Mr. Josh Kotai, and a finalist for the Mike Richter Award, the top D1 goaltender in the NCAA. Past recipients include Connor Hellebuck, Rory's favorite, Thatcher Demko, Caden Primo, Jeremy Swayman, Devin Levi, Jack LaFontaine, et cetera, et cetera. And then hopefully we add Josh Kotai. Josh, what does it mean to you to be on the finalist list here?
Yeah, obviously it's pretty cool, and you know, an honor to be on that list. But it's also 34 other guys on there as well. So there's still lots of time left in the season and whatnot. So who knows really what can happen? But it's definitely a cool little thing to add into the pocket and just kind of use it as motivation to carry through the rest of the year.
Have you kind of always been a guy that's able to acknowledge that you say, hey, this is really, really cool, but just stay humble at the fact? I remember talking to you when you're in Battlefords, right? Numerous goaltenders of the month and numerous accolades, CJHL here, SJHL there, champion at the end of the year. It just seemed that it's like, yeah, you know, I really, really appreciate it, but, you know, next game, next practice, next thing. Is that kind of what you're doing with this Mike Richter Award and how you just stay so locked in such a high level of hockey?
Yeah, you kind of have to. Like, as soon as you start thinking about those things, you're distracted, and then that's when things go, you know, sideways. And so it's really just about how long can you maintain that focus and just keep going day by day, getting better and better.
So, Josh, talk to us about Augustana. I mean, you go there last year as a freshman. You got some games in this year, obviously. It seems like the record has flip-flopped a little bit in terms of wins and losses. Can you tell us about the growth of the program in your time there, in your short time? You've only been there a year and a half, but how has the program developed and grown in your time there, at least?
Yeah, just physically, like, we have a arena now. I think a lot of people didn't know last year we were practicing at a community iceplex, dressing in construction trailers up till about January when we finally had Midco Arena opened up. So it's been amazing this year to start out with a home and be able to go there every day with the guys and work together and work hard. And so obviously we brought in a lot of good new freshmen, some transfers as well that have had a huge part in our success this year, but also the guys last year too. The 6 guys that left, they left a great legacy for us to kind of continue to build upon that. And so I'm just super happy that we've been able to, kind of build on that from last year.
When you talk to people, because I know, players everywhere talk, where'd you play before? Where'd you come from? And, we keep hearing agents saying and people saying, you got to leave the SJ you got to do this, you got to do that. But you came here and it worked out great for you. I guess, what do you say when guys are like, what was the SJ like? And how do you feel like playing here helped you?
I feel like, we had a great team in Battleford, and the competition in the Saskatchewan League is very high. Any team can beat any team on any night, right? But I just think that if you're going anywhere, just go there to be the best, and I think people will find you. So whether that's BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, as long as you can be the best in those leagues, then you'll get those opportunities elsewhere. But it's such a great league in terms of competition and growth. It's great.
I kind of got a two-part here because of your answer to the Augustana one and what it was like, growing pains becoming that Division I program. But obviously, first part of the question, it has to make the guys that are now into their second, third year, right, and that experienced Augustana last year, tighter this year, right, knowing that you changed in construction trailers and battled through against all, top NCAA teams, and now to have that culture and that system this year. And then the second part is, what is that culture and that system like? What's making you be the best goaltender that you can each and every day at Augustana, and just kind of the life of a college hockey player in NCAA Division I?
Yeah, so first part, I think just being in those trailers was such a unique experience. Like, it brought us all together. And then without really a home, we played only a few home games at the start of last year. And so we played at the Denny Center, which is where the Sioux Falls Stampede play, the USHL team. Mm-hmm. But like, being on the road a lot, you spend a lot of time with the guys. And so you get to know them all pretty well. And so that was a huge part in us being able to build a culture and a brotherhood together. And I think that's really what kind of sums us up is being a brotherhood. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes the most successful teams successful, is because they're always there for each other. You'll have your laughs at certain guys for things, but you've got each other's backs at the end of the day.
Yeah, we laugh at Nugsy all the time, but we have his back at the end of the day. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's been great. And then with school, like, we've got a small campus, so everyone knows kind of who you are and whatnot. So you just really try to exemplify that that culture that we bring, and just welcome everyone. And in turn, they come and they support us throughout all our games, and so it's really awesome.
Do you like being a school student at the college level? Is it a lot to handle, especially a goaltender, right? Like a guy who probably already has a lot on his plate as it is, focusing in on every other player on every team and their shooting habits and whatnot, and then schooling on top of it, and having to have good grades and all that goes along with it. Is it a lot at times?
Oh yeah, it can be a lot. Like, when you're taking a full course load, it's definitely not the easiest thing, but I guess it keeps you out of mischief.
True.
And then you get classes with your teammates, and so that's a nice thing too. And you're able to do homework together and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you get to go to the rink with your best friends, compete and train hard, and then become better because of it.
Speaking of teammates, a couple years ago when you were in Battlefords, you had fresh-faced youngster Justin Merrick as your backup goaltender. And a lot of people don't remember, you guys had like identical numbers that year. Obviously, you played twice as many games, but your numbers were basically identical. And now Justin's in his 20-year-old year. Have you talked to Justin at all this year? Or can you tell us a little bit about Justin Merrick, the behind-the-scenes goaltender that people might not know about?
Yeah, Justin, he's a great guy. We still, text and snap each other all the time. So it's pretty nice to continue that friendship that we've built up. And yeah, like having the year we had, it was unbelievable, and we've built a pretty strong bond because of that. And so it's cool to still see him there in Battleford, playing really well. And so yeah, we talk about our games and stuff like that, but in the locker room, he's a really chill guy. Doesn't say it a whole lot, but he's super nice and works his butt off.
He's just a chill guy.
Pardon me.
I love it.
Need a cough button up here, Josh. Sorry about that. Last question from me. My understanding is you have another brother who's also a goalie. I don't know, did you guys like battle to who could play goalie between you and him, and then Riley would just shoot at you, or what's the deal? And maybe give us the scouting report on young Nick.
Yeah, so Nick, he's coming up playing U18s right now, but when we were younger, Riley and I would just throw him in net and tell him to kick rocks, kind of, because I don't know, he's 4 years younger than me, so there's a bit of an age gap when you're trying to play like that. So we're just like, hey, well, Riley and I will play one-on-one, and then you get the net, But he was always a kid that liked to play goalie, and our dad's a goalie as well. So it's a big family of hockey goalies, and then Riley too, who's our shooter.
Riley's the weird one. Usually the goalies are the weird one. Riley's the weird one. There you go.
Yeah, Riley is the odd one out there, but we need him. So
I just forgot one more before Rory's rapid fire, which I think will be your first time doing rapid fire, because 2 years ago I don't know if we had that segment yet.
It wasn't official. You might have done it unofficially.
It's a new segment coming up with you, but I just have one question because it's really cool, and I just want to know, did you ever do you look back, and I know the journey's not anywhere near over, but just to where you've made it, right? And the season you're having, and being a Mike Richter, an award finalist, just a moment maybe that you look back to, it's like, wow, I'm happy I put in that extra hour on that day, or I'm happy that I did this because, look where I got to now. And it's really, really cool just to see your success.
Yeah, I think the one defining moment was coming to Battleford, honestly. I had no idea what would become of it, but it was just an opportunity. And so I came there not knowing anyone, not knowing anything about Saskatchewan, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to make the best of this, and who knows what can happen from there. But I had my goals set on where I wanted to play at the next level, at the college level. So I was like, okay, well, this is where we're going to go, so we're going to go and make the most of it.
Quickly, Josh. I know it's a long time ago, so if you're like, it's too long ago, that's fine. How frustrated were you before morning skate game 3 in the finals at the Whitney Forum? I know we were all asking over and over again, the rims are crazy at the Whitney, the rims are crazy at the Whitney. You were trying to stop the rim, get the rims in the morning skate, try to get the boards there, I guess. And it didn't seem like you had any success, and you seemed like you were pretty upset. Didn't seem to matter. Obviously, you guys went and swept the Bombers anyways in the finals. But were you really as upset as we were joking about?
I kind of remember that. You're standing there at the glass and just kind of having a laugh at the puck just bouncing everywhere. But it was more just trying to learn, okay, how can I expect these bounces to go? Obviously, you don't know where they're going to go, but so you're just kind of learning, okay, what can I expect here? And know that it won't always be perfect, but maybe you can make the best of it. So,
but yes or no, you were furious.
I don't remember, honestly.
Okay, just say yes and we'll move on.
That's a yes. He was furious. He was furious.
Rule number 1, stay in the net at the Whitney. You don't even need to go chasing those pucks around the boards.
Braden's just yelling in his Braden voice, stay in the net. You're just going to stay in the net. Get off the ice, Josh.
All right, Josh, it is rapid fire time presented by Elkridge. I got about 5 or 6 quick questions for you, and they're going to come at you rapid fire. So obviously you talked about younger goalie brother Nick. How much does Nick reach out to you for goalie advice, and how much advice are you giving him?
Well, we talk all the time about goaltending. We'll talk about his games and stuff like that. So I'd say all the time, every week at least.
One player you've played now in, or maybe going back to your first few NCAA games, or even in this season, if it's one that's recently hit you, that was just a different breed to try and stop. Like where he was coming down a wing, taking a shot, you're like, oh, this is different. In one of your first few games, or maybe it was more recent.
I honestly don't pay attention to very many players, except for this last weekend when we played Jake Southgate and the Lions. So I'm going to say him.
A former teammate. I see what you did there.
SJHL beauty. There you go.
Obviously in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Has there been like a really cool event that you've gone to since going down there? Maybe a sporting event, like you go to South Dakota State football game, or a concert, or a different sporting event that you've seen since you've moved down there?
I think they held regionals last year here for the NCAA tournament. So that was kind of a cool thing to go out and see a little bit.
Your other brother, Riley, with the Melfort Mustangs, what's the most common thing that you two would fight over growing up? If the puck went in?
No, it'd probably be like playing NHL or something. Who gets the home team?
That's actually, I have 4 brothers myself. That's a big one.
Yeah, because you get to go up. Yeah.
You get to go. You get to shoot up twice, and it's a big advantage. So it's always rock, paper, scissors for home team first. Yeah. Wasn't that the same in your family?
Yeah, exactly. Or you got it last, so I get it this time.
Yeah. And poor little Nick, he doesn't get any of it.
No, Nick gets to watch. Nick is the broadcaster.
Nick's the future broadcaster in the family.
No, he's gonna be D1, no problem.
I usually like to toss in a trivia question here, so I know yours was a couple of years ago. It's not as fresh as current SJHLers, but it's actually wild. You had more shutouts in your SJHL career than games where you allowed 5 goals or more, which is very impressive. But you allowed 5 goals or more twice in your career. Do you remember which teams those were against?
I'd say
do you want a hint? Because I can give you one.
Humboldt, Flin Flon, or Notre Dame?
It was not Humboldt. It was the other two. Once against Flin Flon, once against Notre Dame.
That was crazy. It was a 9-6 game, and it was like the day after the showcase or something crazy like that. But anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been that weird scheduling where you guys were on the bus and then had to go play, right?
Yeah, half their team.
Yeah, we came straight from the showcase there, pretty tired, and
we almost won.
I got to play in the.
Almost.
Oh, yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, and there was we had 7 or 8 other guys with us too.
Yeah, it was crazy.
In that showcase. Yeah.
And then just for stats wise there. So yes, you allowed 5 goals or more twice in your career. You had 6 shutouts in your career. So that's pretty incredible. Twice against Weyburn, twice against Melfort, 1 against Flon, 1 against Kidno. Final one for me here. Obviously, your former coach, Braden Klamosko, has now moved to Humboldt, where I get to spend a lot of time with him. Any story, a Braden story that might embarrass him a bit in your time in Battlefords, or just a fun one? It doesn't have to embarrass him.
Off the ice,
any Klamosko story?
I can't really say anything
That's fine.
I really remember. It's been a while, but he let me kind of have free reign on staying on the ice as much as I wanted and stuff. So, he was a great coach for me.
I'm sure he'll appreciate you saying that and keeping it to that. I'm sure professional thing to do there, Josh. Really appreciate it.
There you go. Well, Josh, thanks so much for joining us today. You crushed rapid fire. Best of luck the rest of the way with Augustana, and I'm glad you shut down Jake Southgate recently. That's good to know.
Yeah, Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Best of luck. We're all cheering for you up here, I guess, buddy. Keep it going.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right, there's Josh Kotai, of course. Member of the legendary Kotai family, apparently, and it's still growing. The legend is growing. So, guys, there we go. We're doing, we don't usually end the show right after the guest. We usually have a break and then a third segment, but this was the third segment. So let's have a look at the upcoming week, the upcoming couple of days. We have 3 games on Tuesday, and I believe we have 1 game on Wednesday. So here we go. Flin Flon is in Melville taking on the Millionaires tomorrow night. Humboldt will be in Nipawin take on the Hawks, and Notre Dame will be in Weyburn taking on the Red Wings. And then on Wednesday, it's Flin Flon at Estevan. Holy cow.
Drew Kosher's Estevan Bruins.
Drew Kosher's debut behind the bench of the Estevan
No
Bruins.
pressure, it's the Flin Flon Bombers.
Flin Flon's coming to town. Not only is it one of the best rivalries in the league, they haven't lost in regulation in 21 games. So there you go. Welcome to the league, Drew Kosher.
No pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, anything you're looking forward to either in those games or down the road this week? Anything pop up to you?
Shout out to Drew, right, in that game.
Yeah.
It's a cool moment. It'll be his first career game as a head coach in Junior A in the SJHL, and that's something he should remember. And hey, man, if the Estevan Bruins they show up and they go and end the Bombers' win streak, that would be super cool.
That'd be cool.
That's a good moment around the week that I think should be acknowledged more than once.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be cool if you're Mike Reagan, but
no.
There you go.
Mike doesn't care.
Yeah. No, Mike doesn't care. Mike wants to
about
win by
that part.
100.
I'm sure Mike will congratulate Drew and everything, but you know what I mean.
Would.
Yeah. Thursday, we're going to be back on SJHL Insider, of course. There's 4 games before that, so we'll recap those games, bring in a guest, and see I don't know who we're going to get yet, Noogsy. We'll decide later.
Noogsy will be back. Jacques Newberry has to get back on his private plane to fly back to Quebec, I presume.
Yeah, absolutely, my son. He needs someone cook for him.
That's what it is. He needs someone to cook for him?
Or at least get gluten-free pizza from Daza Mitchell family.
There you go. Yeah, you know what? I bet Daza would give pizza to Jacques Newberry, but he wouldn't give it to you, Jamie.
Nope.
So anyways, one more quick shout out to all of our sponsors, of course. Cantera Seeds, Borgo, Capital Automall, SAS Lottery, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy. Our friends at UPL, obviously our sponsor of all of our broadcasts, as you can see right on our desk. SGEU, Great Western, our podcast sponsor, SGI, and RBC. And all of our social media channels as well. Make sure you give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share. All the other words that people use, and get your Flow Hockey subscription as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course over on our YouTube channel. Enjoy the hockey over the next couple of days. We'll see you back right in here on Thursday for SJHL Insider. Get out to the rinks, enjoy the hockey. See you guys later.